So, there I am, standing in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, holding a Makita power drill that some contractor left behind. My mom and my stepdad, Kevin, are standing in the middle of the room, beaming, with their arms around each other like they just won a Nobel Prize. The air smells like cheap paint and baby powder. My beautiful, custom-built, dark cherrywood bookshelf? Gone. My queen-size bed with the memory foam mattress I saved for a year to buy? Gone. In its place is a white crib. A frickin' crib. And a rocking chair. And the walls, which used to be a cool, calming slate gray, are now a gender-neutral shade of pale, vomit-colored yellow. My mom claps her hands together, her face glowing with a level of pride that is usually reserved for, I don't know, curing cancer. Surprise, she chirps. What do you think? We turned it into a proper nursery for your sister. Isn't it perfect? I just stood there, speechless, the drill feeling heavier and heavier in my hand. I looked at the crib, at the stupid smiling giraffe painted on the wall, at the empty space where my entire adult life used to be. And the only thought that echoed in my head was, asterisk, I am going to burn this entire family to the ground. Asterisk. Okay, let me back up. Because to understand how I got to that point, you need to understand the dynamics of my unique family. I'm 29. For the last 5 years, I've worked a soul-crushing but well-paying job in tech. I don't party, I don't do lavish vacations. I save. I saved every single penny. And 2 years ago, I did the one thing no one in my family thought I could do. I bought my own house. It wasn't a mansion, just a small, 2-bedroom bungalow in a decent neighborhood. But it was mine. Every nail, every floorboard. I spent weekends painting, I learned how to tile a backsplash from YouTube tutorials, I planted a garden. This house was my sanctuary. It was proof that I had made it on my own. Now, meet my mother. She's a classic narcissist. Everything revolves around her. Her feelings are the only ones that matter. And her golden child, the center of her universe, is my younger sister, Ashley. Ashley is fine, I guess. She's not a bad person, she's just been coddled her entire life. While I was working part-time jobs through college to avoid student debt, my mom and stepdad were co-signing for Ashley's brand new car and paying her rent. She got the praise, the support, the endless river of cash. I got the character-building lectures and the constant, subtle comparisons. And then there's my stepdad, Kevin. Kevin's main personality trait is agreeing with my mother. He's a human bobblehead in a polo shirt. His entire vocabulary consists of whatever makes your mother happy and let's not upset your mother. He's less of a person and more of a spineless enabler. So, this year, Ashley announced she was pregnant. It was the first grandbaby. To say my mother was excited would be the understatement of the century. You would have thought she was carrying the baby herself. She immediately went into overdrive. She was planning the baby shower, buying clothes, and, most importantly, deciding how everyone else's life would now revolve around this unborn child. Meanwhile, I was planning the first real vacation of my adult life. 3 weeks in Thailand. I'd booked it a year in advance. I was burned out, I was exhausted, and I was dreaming of beaches and street food. About a week before I was supposed to leave, my mom called me. Honey, she started, in that sweetest syrup voice she uses when she wants something. Since you'll be gone for so long, Kevin and I were thinking we could stay at your place. You know, to watch the house, water your plants, it would be a little staycation for us. Red flag number 1. A big crimson, waving in the wind red flag. Mom, that's really not necessary, I said. My neighbor is getting my mail and my plants are succulents. They thrive on neglect, just like me. I tried to laugh it off. Don't be silly, she insisted. It's no trouble at all. We'd feel so much better knowing someone was there. Please? It would give me such peace of mind. I knew I should have said no. My gut was screaming at me. But anyone with a narcissistic parent knows about the FOG, fear, obligation, and guilt. She laid it on so thick, talking about how worried she'd be, that I, like an idiot, caved. Fine, I said. But please, just don't touch anything. Seriously. Just water the plants and keep the place from burning down. Of course, honey. We'll treat it like our own. Famous. Last words. The first week of my vacation was amazing. I was posting pictures of temples and beaches. I was blissfully disconnected. Then, the first text came. It was a picture of a collection of paint swatches. All of them were shades of beige, cream, and pale yellow. The caption read, "Which one do you think is best for a gender-neutral look?" Leaning towards bunny nose pink. Winking face. I stared at my phone, confused. I texted back, "Haha, what is this for?" Her reply came instantly. "Just a little project we're doing to help you out. Your living room was looking a bit drab, sweetie. A fresh coat of paint will do wonders." My blood ran cold. Mom. What did I say? Please, do not paint my walls. I like the color of my living room. Oh, you're just used to it. You'll love this. It's so much more cheerful. Trust me, a mother knows best. I spent the next hour frantically trying to call her. She didn't pick up. I called Kevin. Straight to voicemail. I called Ashley. "Oh yeah, Mom mentioned she was gonna paint," Ashley said breezily. "She's just so excited about the baby. She has all this nesting energy. Isn't it sweet?" "Sweet? Ashley, it's my house. I specifically asked her not to touch anything." "You're overreacting," she sighed. "It's just paint. She's just trying to be nice." I felt like I was losing my mind. I was thousands of miles away, completely powerless. I sent my mom a long, firm text. Mom. Stop. Do not do any more work on my house. I am serious. We will talk about this when I get back. Her reply? A thumbs up emoji. For the next week and a half, there was radio silence. I tried to put it out of my mind. Maybe she got the message. Maybe it was just one room. How bad could it be? I tried to enjoy the rest of my trip, but there was this dark cloud hanging over me. The day I flew home, I was a nervous wreck. I took a taxi from the airport, and my heart was pounding the whole way. I pulled up to my little house, and from the outside, everything looked normal. I took a deep breath. Maybe I overreacted. I walked up to my front door and put my key in the lock. It didn't turn. I tried again. Nothing. My key wouldn't fit. They had changed the locks. They changed the locks on my own house. I felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. I banged on the door. "Mom, Kevin, open the door right now." After a few minutes, the door opened, and there was my mom, wearing an apron covered in drywall dust. "Oh, you're back," she said, as if I was just a minor inconvenience. "We weren't expecting you for another few hours." I pushed past her into my house, and my jaw hit the floor. The living room was unrecognizable. My comfy, dark gray sectional sofa was gone. My vintage coffee table gone. My bookshelves, filled with books I'd collected since I was a teenager, were gone. The walls were a sickly shade of beige, and where my TV used to be, there was now a giant, empty wall with spackle marks all over it. What did you do?" I whispered. "We opened up the space," Kevin said, walking in from the kitchen with a stupid grin on his face. "Your mother had a brilliant idea. We're knocking down the wall between the living room and your office to make a big, open-plan living and dining area for when Ashley brings the baby over. More room for a playpen." I felt dizzy. My office. My sanctuary within my sanctuary. The room where I worked, where I kept all my important documents, my personal projects. I stumbled down the hallway towards my office and my bedroom. The door to my office was gone. The entire wall was gone. There was just a giant sheet of plastic hanging there. And behind it was nothing. An empty space. Then I turned to my bedroom. And that's when I saw it. The pale yellow walls. The crib. The rocking chair. The smiling giraffe. They hadn't just painted a room. They hadn't just knocked down a wall. They had systematically dismantled my life, my home, my identity, and replaced it with a shrine to the golden child's baby. "Where is my stuff?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "Oh, it's all in storage," Mom said happily. "Don't worry, we labeled most of the boxes. We had to make room for all the baby things. Ashley's friends are throwing her a surprise shower here next weekend, and we wanted everything to be perfect." That's when I saw the Makita drill on the floor. And that's when she said the fateful words, "Isn't it perfect?" I think something inside me just broke. The years of being second best, of being ignored, of my boundaries being treated like suggestions, it all just coalesced into this one single moment of crystalline clarity. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just turned around, walked out the front door, my asterisk front door that I was now locked out of, and I started making a plan. My mom called after me, but I didn't listen. The phase of me being a doormat was officially over. The first call was to a hotel. The second was to a locksmith, to schedule a time to come and change the locks back first thing Monday morning. The third and most important call was to a lawyer. I explained the situation to the lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Ms. Davies. She listened patiently, and when I was done, she was silent for a moment. Then she said, "So, they performed major, non-permitted structural renovations on a property you own, without your consent, and have effectively changed the locks and taken possession of it. Oh, and they used your credit card to do it." Wait, what? I'd forgotten to check. I pulled up my banking app. There it was. My emergency credit card, the one I kept in a drawer for a catastrophic plumbing failure, had been maxed out. Over $15,000 in charges from Home Depot, Pottery Barn Kids, and a local contractor. Miss Davies just purred. "Oh, this is not a family dispute. This is a gold mine." For the next 2 weeks, I lived in a hotel and followed my lawyer's instructions to the letter. We got a structural engineer to assess the damage. Turns out, the wall they'd knocked down was load-bearing. The cost to repair it and restore my house to its original condition? A cool $58,000. We filed a police report for the fraudulent use of my credit card. We documented everything. And then, I executed the final part of the plan. The part that was all mine. I called my mom. I put on the performance of a lifetime. I cried. I told her I was overwhelmed at first, but now that I'd had time to think, I realized she was just trying to help. "Oh, honey, I knew you'd come around," she gushed, completely eating it up. "I told Kevin you were just tired from your trip." "You were right, Mom," I said, my voice dripping with fake sincerity. "You were so right. And you've done so much work. I feel like we should celebrate. You should have the baby shower here, just like you planned. Let's make it a big family party to celebrate the new nursery and to thank you and Kevin for all your hard work." She was ecstatic. She invited everyone. Aunts, uncles, cousins, her annoying friends from her book club. My role was simple: show up, smile, and wait for the perfect moment. The day of the party arrived. I walked into my house, which was now filled with my extended family. My mom and Kevin were holding court, proudly giving tours of the destruction they'd wrought. "Isn't it amazing what we did?" my mom kept saying. She just needed a mother's touch. They had a banner that said, "Congrats, Ashley," hanging over the hole where my office used to be. My sister was sitting in the ugly new rocking chair, opening gifts, looking smug. Finally, my mom gathered everyone in the living room for a toast. She raised her glass of champagne. "I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate Ashley and the baby. And I'd like to give a special toast to Kevin and me for all the hard work we put into turning this little house into a perfect home for our first grandchild to visit." Everyone clapped. She smiled at me. "And to my wonderful daughter for letting us do this for her. We love you." That was my cue. I walked to the center of the room, right next to her. I pulled a stack of papers from my purse. "Thank you, Mom," I said, my voice clear and steady. The room went quiet. "I'm so glad everyone is here today to see all the hard work you've done. Because I, too, have a few things to celebrate." I held up the first paper. "This is an invoice from a structural engineer for $58,000 to repair the load-bearing wall you illegally knocked down and to restore my home to its original condition. But please, don't worry about paying me directly." I then handed a document to my mom and Kevin. "This is a formal notice that you are both being sued for the full amount of damages. My lawyer will be in touch." A gasp went through the room. My mother's face went white. "Next," I said, pulling out another paper. "This is a copy of the police report I filed for felony grand larceny for the $15,000 you fraudulently charged to my credit card." Kevin looked like he was going to faint. "And finally," I said, looking directly at my mother, whose smile was now a frozen rictus of horror. "The surprise shower and housewarming party for the nursery is a lovely idea. But there's a slight problem. The nursery is in my house, which you are now trespassing in." I held up the last document. "This is a restraining order. It says you are to have no contact with me and are prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me or my property. A police officer is waiting outside to escort you off the premises. You have 48 hours to have your lawyer arrange for the removal of your belongings under supervision. The silence in the room was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop. My aunt dropped her crab puff. My mother just stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. You can't do this," she whispered. "I'm your mother." "You stopped being my mother the moment you took a sledgehammer to my life," I said. Then I looked around at the shocked faces of my family. "The party's over. Thank you all for coming." The aftermath was apocalyptic. The family was split down the middle. Half of them called me a monster, the other half called me a legend. My mom and Kevin were forced to hire a lawyer. The lawsuit dragged on, but with the evidence I had, they didn't stand a chance. They had to sell their own house to pay for the damages and legal fees. They ended up moving into a small rental apartment across town. Ashley called me sobbing. She said I had ruined the family. I told her that she had stood by and watched it happen, perfectly happy to benefit from my home being destroyed. I told her that I loved her, but that I couldn't have a relationship with her until she understood what she had been a part of. We haven't spoken since. It took almost a year, but I got my house back. The wall is rebuilt. The walls are my favorite slate gray again. My books are back on their new, even better shelves. It's my sanctuary again. It's quiet. It's peaceful. And it's mine. I lost half my family, but I finally found my own backbone. It was the most expensive, most traumatic remodeling project ever, but in the end, I got rid of the one thing that was truly toxic in my house, them.